Shim Moore, formerly of the Sick Puppies. Welcome back to Reno, brother.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for getting my name right. Shim, formerly of Sick Puppies. I changed my birth certificate to say that so people would know who the hell I am. Shim from Sick Puppies.
So, look, we were chatting a little bit last night.
A little bit?
Yeah. You told me about kind of the backstory, and I knew a little bit of it, but you told me the backstory about the Free Hugs video. Why don't we start at the beginning here?
Yeah,
If you can condense that into like a Reader's Digest version. What the hell happened with that where you kind of made your mark and got your start, and all of a sudden almost seemed like it was overnight you became a worldwide phenomenon?
Yeah, we were lucky to be considered one of those overnight successes. A long time ago, I was working at a pedestrian mall holding up a sandwich board sign that advertised 2-for-1 shoes.
Right.
And this guy was walking around with a free hug sign, and I said, yo, I like your style. We became friends, and I said, I want to videotape you with my dad's camera and maybe make a documentary out of it. Nothing ever came of the tapes. So you flash forward to about a year and a half later, and I'm in LA, and we are showcasing to every major label twice. We showcased to every major label. And they all said, we love your band, love your songs, you got a great vibe, but you're missing something. And I would say, what? Tell me, please. I'll make it for you. I want to do this thing. This is my life, my career.
Yeah.
And they said, we don't know. Call us when you find it. So I would call this friend of mine, the Free Hugs guy, and I would say, man, my life sucks. I can't get signed. Man, my life sucks. Sony just passed a second time. Man, my life sucks, this and that. And then one day I called up and I said, man, my life sucks, blah, blah. And he said, my grandmother just passed away and I need to figure out what to do with the body. And it just pulled me out of my head. It just, it suddenly reality kicked in, and I was like, my problems are fairly finite in the grand scheme of things. I'm very lucky that I'm even over in LA. I took out loans and flew the band over and all that stuff, but I'm doing what I love. So I wanted to give him a big hug, and I wanted to be there to help him, and I couldn't be there because I'm on the other side of the world. So I made basically the first night in a year and a half, the first night that I took off from the band, from making things, promoting the band, writing songs, producing songs, doing all the stuff. And I used the song All the Same, which was one of the 5 songs that we were using to pitch to labels, as the music bed for a video that I made as a video get well card for him. And I sent it off to him and I said, this is who you are. Don't forget. I know it's hard. And it turns out that was the thing that was quote unquote missing from the labels.
And to send it to him, you didn't send him the physical copy. You uploaded it to this new type of technology.
I sent it to him on a DVD, and then he called me and he said, I think this may be something, this is actually really cool. And I showed it to the band management. Then we uploaded it to this new website at the time called YouTube.
Right.
And it was less than a year old. We uploaded it.
YouTube was yet less than a year old.
Yeah. And it got 850,000 views in 3 days, and YouTube took it down, and they called us directly.
Saying, what the hell is going on here?
And they were like, who is this guy? Who owns the rights to the master recording? Do you have a release? Like, they were worried. They were scared. Like, this is going too fast. We're not ready for this. And we gave them all the releases and everything that they asked for, and we said, no, it's our band. It's our song. It's my video. We own the master tapes, all that stuff. And then they put it up on the main page. Number 1 spot on the main page for 8 weeks, and it got 1 million views a week for 8 weeks. And then every label called back, and we were in that position that they call negotiation war between labels. Yeah. And we finally signed with Virgin, and then, the history happened.
So you're like, oh, that one thing that I was searching for?
Yeah.
Found it.
Yeah. But the irony is, and my favorite part of the story is that the thing that really propelled the band into the spotlight and gave it the kick in the ass to move into a career as a band came from love. Yeah. Came from doing something for my friend. I wasn't trying to do something for the band. I wasn't trying to write a song for the record label or for the fans or to try to be a big rock star. I did it for my friend. I did it out of love, and it turned out to be something that really connected with people, and I learned a lot from that. And then when I took that from that moment forward in terms of writing my music, that I was like, all right, I'm going to put as much love and positivity and everything into my music as I can.
So let me ask on that on that point, the next big hit. I mean, you guys had a lot of hits, but then all of a sudden,
lucky.
You're Going Down came out, and it's like it kind of catapulted you to the next level.
Yeah.
Where did that anger come from? Because You're Going Down was a very angry kind of song.
Well, anger was always part of the band. I mean, we were a punk rock band to start with.
Okay.
All the same, ironic. It was a weird thing with the Free Hugs video because we were pitching songs like Pitiful and a couple of other hard songs off the first album because we're a rock band. And especially when you come to the show, it's a hard rock show. When we released All the Same as the Free Hugs video, and then it became a single just because it became a single, because suddenly it was so popular. We had to kind of backpedal and say, no, by the way, we're not Coldplay. We're a rock band, you know?
Yeah.
And so when we did You're Going Down, it was funny because that was the type of song that we were always planning to be the first single off our albums.
Right.
We'd show it to radio guys and they go, that's not Sick Puppies. That doesn't sound like the songs we've heard before. So we wrote that song actually because WWE called us and we pitched it to them for Monday Night Raw.
Okay.
And they said, we want a song that says, you're going down, bring it on, all that sort of stuff. So we wrote the song. It almost didn't make the record because we had a lot of songs for the record. And so that song really was just, it was written with a very specific objective to be a fight song.
Sure.
To be written for fighting.
Okay.
And then after that, then it was like, okay, now we're a rock band.
Yeah.
Now, then that thing blew up and we were off to the races. We toured for 2.5 years straight on that record after You're Going Down. But one of the good things was that Odd One, Riptide, Maybe came afterwards, and all of them had that positive message that I was telling you about.
Yeah.
You know?
So fast forward, things kind of go south with the band and the management and this, that, and the other. I think at this point in your career, as you're out as Shim, formerly of the Sick Puppies, it begats the question, because you're obviously the mastermind behind what the Sick Puppies became and that brand and that business. Why isn't it the Sick Puppies with a couple of other guys and you at the helm?
You mean the name?
Yeah.
Why am I not calling it Sick Puppies? Well, basically because we did that, like I was telling you last night, man, we had that chapter in the book that is so boring. You read the Queen biography and the Motley Crue biography and all that stuff, and suddenly you're in a litigation and you're suing each other.
Yeah.
And you're basically suing over rights, rights to the music and money and all this sort of stuff. And at the end of the day, they retained the name.
Yeah.
They decided they wanted a new singer and they didn't want to work with me anymore. And so at the end of the day, they kept the name and they moved forward as Sick Puppies, and they've released their record and they're doing what they're doing. But it was really, I'll tell you the truth, man, it was really tough, man. Like when I lost that band name, it's kind of like losing your own name.
Sure.
When, I'm able to say Shim, formerly of Sick Puppies, but when you're not the guy in Sick Puppies anymore, I had to figure out who the hell I was.
Who am I?
My new identity. Mm-hmm. And that's why it took me a little. I remember when I did Rock on the Range last year, and a lot of people at the interview tent were saying, like, we expected to see you back like last year or a year earlier.
Right.
But it took me a bit of time to kind of get over it. It really blew my mind. It was like losing a loved one or a divorce or something like that. I had to kind of get my act together. And then I had to decide on top of it, all right, if I'm going to really, I tried to put a band together and it didn't work. And then eventually I was left with no other option but to become a solo artist. I didn't really want to be a solo artist. I wanted to be in a band. I wanted to share the experience with friends, but I couldn't find the right people to do it with. And finally I was like, if I don't do something soon, it's going to be too late. I've got to do my own thing. Then I had to decide, what is that thing? And that's what Crucified sounds like.
Okay.
And that's what Hallelujah sounds like. And that's what my whole new record sounds like. It's 100% me.
Crucify is a great song, by the way.
Thank you very much.
If you haven't checked out the video, do so. It's at kdot.com. Tell me about, technology really seemed to help you out a whole hell of a lot at the beginning. In today's day and age, the industry changes at light speed with technology. Do you think that today technology is a help or a hindrance to what you're trying to do and branding and letting people try and connect the dots between the Sick Puppies and Shim?
I think it's definitely, it's pivotal in terms of connecting the dots between Sick Puppies and Shim, because that's where everyone lives and that's where everyone, but finding them is the hard part. I didn't think it was going to be so hard to reconnect with my fans and let them know, hey, because most people know me as the guy from Sick Puppies, or they see my face and they go, oh, it's that guy from that band with that song or whatever.
Yeah.
But they don't know me as Shim. So my job right now is to reconnect people to, hey, it's me. My name's Shim. This is my new project. So instead of typing in guy from Sick Puppies, type in SHIM, Shim. Right. And that's been the hardest part. But I think it's a bittersweet, double-edged sword kind of thing, because you can access your fans directly. You don't have to rely on a label. But at the same time, there is so much noise. There's so much traffic.
It's tough to cut through the clutter.
It is really hard to cut through. And I wasn't expecting it to be as hard as it was to cut through the traffic. to reconnect with my fans, which is why, you know, I appreciate you letting me come on the show to let people know that I'm back and what I'm doing and playing the song and let them know what I'm up to.
Yeah, well, you're definitely a hell of a hard worker, and again, Crucified is a great song, and I think, again, kind of like the Free Hugs video, the video is going to do a lot to move the needle. Where did you get the idea? Tell me about the writing of the video. Graphically, it's pretty damn stimulating. Kind of has this Quentin Tarantino feel to it.
Yeah, well, what happens when you make a video is you send the song out to a handful of production companies and they send you back treatments, ideas for the video. And this one company said, Shim sits in a room with a dead body on the hotel floor. And I was like, I'm in. I love this idea.
That was it.
I was it. And then I started to brainstorm and I was like, you know, one of the things that it's bittersweet as well with being in a band is that there's a personality to what I do and my stage persona. You know, I don't walk in a room and say, get the fuck up, you know, like, but when you're on stage, you're this elevated personality. You're this, you play the rock star, right? And so that never really made it into any Sick Puppies videos. Yeah. And I said, I really want to put that personality into this video. But at the same time, how do we balance it out? Because I don't just want to be screaming at the camera the whole time. So I came up with the idea of having a split personality. And basically, regular Shim has killed the angel on the shoulder. Yeah. And now the devil on the other side of the shoulder is talking to him, telling him how to bury him. So you're having that voice in your head, that negative energy, that negative voice in your head that's directing you. And I dealt with that a lot after the Puppies split. There was so many, you wake up one day and you're like, man, I got this. It's okay. I'm going to handle this. And then you wake up the next day and you're like, yo, this sucks. Yeah. Everyone's against me. People are talking shit about me. And so that I really felt when I was writing the song, the lyric, now that I've been crucified, came out very naturally. And we wrote the song very quickly in that way. And I was like, I want to capture that essence in the video. So I told him, I said, can you make one version of me that's slow motion, that feels like he's lagging and he's just struggling to get through the day, and the other version is the devil on the shoulder and he's double time, like Busta Rhymes videos type thing, right? And they figured it out, and then we made the video, and I kind of tailored the treatment so that personality would be in the video. And then it was like, you have to, so I like to relate it to, I go and see a lot of bands, and I'm very critical of frontmen, because that's what I do. And I see a lot of guys, and they get up there and they say, you know, everything's going to be all right. Just turn the other cheek or walk away from the negativity. Yeah. But sometimes you need to break someone's face. Okay. Sometimes you need to break a nose to fix it. I like that analogy. Yeah. And I was like, well, what if, you know, instead of like just turn the other cheek, you know, you got this negative voice in your head. Sometimes you got to smash it over the back of the head with a shovel and bury it and make it dead and kill it and bury it and leave it behind. And so that is how the video ends. And it was very specific because I was like, I want that rage and that energy to be in the video, because I don't think there are enough people saying, just because there's a positivity that can come from that rage and anger if you direct it correctly and say, I'm not going to take this anymore. I'm not going to live like this anymore. I'm not going to accept this type of treatment anymore. I'm not going to listen to those voices anymore. But sometimes you can't just, you know, passively walk away. You need to smash it over the back of the head and bury it and let it die. Yeah. And so that was what the video really was. And I really wanted to make sure that it was specifically addressed. And so I appreciate you saying that the video was cool, because I really worked hard on that one.
Dynamite. Well, Shim, I appreciate you taking the time. I'm going to put you on the spot here. You brought a guitar. I know we did a little imbibing last night, but I'm going to put you on the spot, and I'm going to say, if you had to pick one song to sing for us today to dedicate to Reno, I want you to do that one. Can you do that?
I can do that. I think I can pull that one off. I'm going to sing a song and dedicate it specifically to Reno.
Okay. And it's one my wife is going to love. I think any woman listening is probably going to dig this, because
I want to dedicate it to her as well as to Reno, because you got the greatest woman in the world, man. She's such a sweetheart.
I'm very lucky. She's a badass. I mean,
and she's a badass.
She can be a sweetheart, but she will also kick your ass.
I can imagine there's a handful of times in your life that you've had an argument where you've been right. The rest of the time you've had your ass handed to you.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I'm the same with my wife, man. Like, you got a good woman, you better take care of her and hold on to her. So I'm going to dedicate this to your woman and also to Reno. But this is going to be a song that I've fallen in love with recently from the soundtrack to A Star Is Born. And I'm going to dedicate it to Reno.
All right.
Maybe it's time to let the old ways die. Maybe it's time to let the old ways die. It takes a lot to change a man. It takes a lot to try. Maybe it's time to let the old ways die. Nobody knows what waits for the dead. Nobody knows what waits for the dead. Some folks just believe in the things they've heard and the things they read. But nobody knows what waits for the dead. I'm glad I can't go back to where I came from. I'm glad those days are gone and gone for good. But if I could bring those spirits back to be here with me now, you know I would. You know I would. But nobody talks to God these days. Nobody talks to God these days. I like to think that he's looking down and laughing at our ways. But nobody talks to God these days. But when I was just a child, they tried to fool me. They said that God was fierce and hell was real. Well, I've seen hell in Reno, and this world's one big old Catherine wheel, just spinning still. So maybe it's time to let the old ways die. Maybe it's time to let the old ways die. It takes a lot to change a man. It takes a lot to try. Maybe it's time to let the old ways die. Maybe it's time to let the old ways die.